chosen one, pause in this moment, because a quiet movement has just touched your journey. And I want you to become still enough to recognize what you have repeatedly passed by because of weariness, fear, or because you were not yet ready to receive it. I am Michael, standing near you, not to make you panic before a door that is about to close, but to remind you that very small moments can carry an awakening of great significance. You believe you paused here by coincidence, yet deep within yourself, you have been searching for reassurance for a long time. There have been nights when you could not sleep, mornings when you awakened with an uncertain feeling that your life was about to change direction, and moments when your heart suddenly became heavy, even though nothing outwardly seemed wrong. You wondered whether you were imagining too much. Today I want you to know that what you feel deserves to be heard, but it must be examined through clarity rather than fear. I have seen you move through days when you tried to appear normal while carrying too many unanswered questions within. You continued fulfilling your responsibilities, smiling at others, and saying that you were fine. Yet some of the deepest places within you became so tired that they wanted only to sit down and breathe. The tears you concealed at night were not meaningless. The prayers you could not form into complete sentences still carried sincerity. But, my beloved child, do not believe that you must suffer more before you can be seen or endure until your breaking point, before you deserve change. Sacred love does not wait until you have completely fallen apart before drawing near. I am calling you now because you have lived for too long waiting for one dramatic event, while transformation may already have begun. Through the way you see yourself, through your refusal to continue accepting what drains you, and through your decision to stop returning to places that have repeatedly wounded you. Recently, you may have felt unsettled, as though something were approaching very quickly. You looked at small changes around you and tried to assemble them into a complete answer. Someone becoming silent, a delayed plan, interrupted sleep, or even a chill passing through your body caused you to wonder whether it was a sign. Listen to me carefully. Not every intense feeling is a prediction, but neither should you ignore what continually repeats itself. You need discernment. What is true will lead you toward calmness, responsibility, and clear action. Fear, on the other hand, pressures you to react immediately, to believe you have only one opportunity, and to assume that every good thing will disappear if you hesitate. I do not guide you through panic. I guide you through enough light to see the next step. You do not wound the Most High because you once ignored a message, failed to understand a sign, or made the wrong choice. Love is not so fragile that one moment of distraction can destroy it. I want you to release the burden of needing to respond perfectly in order to remain loved. You are allowed to slow down, examine what you hear, and choose freely. Yet that freedom also invites responsibility. If you have recognized that a relationship continually leaves you confused, stop calling uncertainty destiny. If you know a habit is damaging your health, do not wait until your body forces you to stop. If you have been reminded repeatedly of something that must be completed, a conversation that must begin, or a boundary that must be established, take the first small step today. The change for which you prayed may be closer than you realize, but it may not appear as a sudden miracle arriving from outside you. Sometimes change begins when you no longer respond as the former version of yourself. In the past, you may have rushed to explain yourself in order to be understood. Today, you know that truth does not always need to be shouted. In the past, you may have tried to keep someone by sacrificing your peace. Today, you understand that someone sincere will not require you to lose your values to prove your affection. In the past, you may have chased every opportunity because you feared being left behind. Today, you know that what is right will not pressure you to enter it while confused. This growth itself is evidence that you have drawn near to a new season. I know you long to hear that your name has been written in a golden book, that a great decision was made within a few minutes, and that your future is about to change miraculously. But, my child, your value did not begin with a mysterious written line, and your future does not depend upon a countdown. Your name carried meaning before anyone recognized it. The good choices you have made, the times you rose after failure, the kindness you offered when it was not returned, and the perseverance you preserved during days when no one noticed, have already written a powerful story. No rumor, rejection, or season of delay can erase that. What is being decided today begins with the way you will continue living after recognizing that you no longer desire to remain within an old cycle. If your heart suddenly wants to weep, allow the tears to come without judging them. Perhaps weariness has finally found a way out, or hope buried for too long has begun to move again. You do not need to assign a mysterious meaning to every emotion. Simply become honest with it. Ask yourself what you are grieving, what you fear losing, and what you desire to have healed. When you name pain correctly, it begins losing its authority. When you admit that you are tired, you can finally rest. When you acknowledge that something has ended, you create space for something new to enter. I do not want you merely to feel moved for a few minutes and then return to a way of living that exhausts you. I want today's touch to take visible form within your ordinary life. During the next few hours, do something simple but sincere. Sit in a quiet place, reduce the noise, and write down what you have avoided for the longest time. Do not write what you believe others want to hear. Write the truth. Perhaps you need to admit that you are no longer happy within a certain situation. Perhaps you must examine your spending, the way you rest, or the way you continually carry responsibilities that belong to others. Then choose one step you can take without waiting for everything to become perfect. A phone call, a necessary refusal, a health appointment, a financial plan, or appropriate distance can become a beginning. Heaven does not require something dramatic from you to prove that you are listening. Profound obedience often appears through very ordinary decisions. My beloved child, what is approaching does not require you to become terrified before you can receive it. It needs a heart calm enough not to confuse urgency with opportunity, wise enough not to call every promise true, and courageous enough to leave what has reached the end of its season in your life. I am not standing here to translate a voice you are completely unable to hear. I am helping you remember that clarity has appeared within you many times, but you ignored it because you did not trust yourself. From today onward, learn to respect your limits, observe repeated actions, and pay attention to the peace or confusion that remains after each choice. What comes from the light will not require you to lose yourself in order to preserve it. Therefore, do not regard this moment as a threat that you have only a few minutes before everything disappears. See it as a doorway into awareness. You have not been left behind. It is not too late, and you are not standing before your final opportunity. Every day you awaken carries the possibility of correction, learning again, and beginning in a more mature way. I will remain beside you as a guardian of clarity, reminding you to slow down when fear pressures you, to rise when despair tells you to surrender, and to preserve tenderness when the past makes you want to close yourself. Something significant may genuinely be approaching, but the greatest miracle right now is that you are ready to become someone who no longer runs from the truth. Breathe deeply, lift your head, and take the next right step. From that step, your future will begin changing direction in a way more lasting than anything you once imagined. Someone from your past has suddenly begun remembering you during these days, not necessarily because they now understand everything completely, but because a part of the story between you has never been named through honesty. I know you have wondered whether they ever looked back, whether silence meant every memory had been erased, and whether what remained unexplained still carried any meaning for them. But, my beloved child, some connections do not disappear. Simply because two people stop speaking, they may become quiet beneath busy months, be covered by pride or unhealed fear. But eventually, truth begins knocking upon the heart again. This person is experiencing an uneasiness they cannot fully explain, because they are beginning to realize that leaving did not resolve everything, and the questions they avoided are still waiting to be confronted. I do not tell you this so that you will run toward the past or reopen a door, simply because affection remains within you. Some people think about you, but are still not mature enough to approach. Some want to apologize, but are still struggling with pride. Others merely miss the feeling you once gave them, yet may not be ready to protect your heart through sincere action. Therefore, remain calm. If the time for another meeting has truly arrived, it will not need to be forced by fear of missing the opportunity. It will be confirmed through clarity, consistency, and accountability. You do not need to interpret every sign or explain every coincidence. What is genuine will find a way to stand before you through specific words and visible actions. Pause for a moment, breathe deeply, and return to yourself. You may feel as though the atmosphere around you has changed, but do not immediately assume that every feeling is a warning from an invisible realm. Sometimes the greatest transformation begins within the way you are re-examining an old story, when you are about to leave a familiar cycle. Your mind may become more sensitive, memories may appear more vividly, and emotions may arise unexpectedly. This does not mean you are in danger. It may simply mean that you have become strong enough to confront what you once had to avoid. Allow your breathing to return you to the present. Let your feet feel the ground, and remind your heart that you are safe in this moment. I am near you within that stillness, not as a shadow that should frighten you or make you continually look behind yourself, but as a reminder that you do not have to walk through confusion alone. Genuine protection does not make you dependent upon mysterious images. It makes you alert, teaches you to listen to emotions without being controlled by them, and helps you recognize when to open your heart and when to maintain distance. If someone from your past returns, you do not need immediately to restore the position they once held. Let them explain, but also observe whether they respect the boundaries you have established. A healthy return does not demand that you forget the entire past in one day. It patiently rebuilds trust through small but consistent actions. Tonight may mark a transition, but not necessarily through one great event that changes everything instantly. Sometimes the transition is simply that you no longer feel compelled to chase an answer. Perhaps you realize that you can think about this person without being drawn back into old pain. A message may arrive, an unexpected meeting may occur, or a long-awaited confession may finally be spoken. Whatever appears, remember that the miracle is not someone returning at any cost. The miracle may be that you possess enough clarity to know what should be restored and what should simply be closed in peace. The completion of a cycle does not always bring two people together again. Sometimes it merely gives you the explanation you needed to move forward more lightly. I also want to remind you not to allow anyone to convince you that you must continue watching, subscribe, or keep listening in order to preserve a blessing. No button determines your future, and no screen possesses authority over what heaven has prepared for you. You may choose to remain with a message because it gives you clarity, but do not do so from fear that leaving will cause you to lose a miracle. What is sacred does not use panic to keep your attention. It respects freedom, gives you room to think, and does not punish you because you need time. Listen to what makes you more peaceful, mature, and capable of loving yourself. When words only make you fearful, dependent, or unable to think, have enough courage to pass by them. Your attention is precious. Do not give it to anyone merely because they claim your destiny depends upon your remaining. You are not created to live continually afraid of missing a sign. You are called to be fully present in your actual life, caring for your home, protecting your health, fulfilling responsibilities, speaking honestly with those you love, and building the future through grounded decisions. If something is preparing to knock upon your door, you will recognize it not only through a feeling, but through clear evidence. A sincere person contacting you, an opportunity containing specific information, or a conversation safe enough for both people to speak honestly. Be especially cautious of claims that every ordinary detail is controlled by a mysterious arrangement. A screen functioning properly, you're not yet moving on to another task, or you're accidentally encountering certain content, does not necessarily prove that you have received a special command. Sometimes these are simply ordinary parts of a day, yet the ordinary can still become meaningful if it causes you to pause and examine your life honestly. Instead of asking, "Is this a sign I must obey immediately?" ask, "How is this inviting me to become wiser? Is there anything within me that needs healing, clarification, or release?" That question will protect you from haste and return you to what you can genuinely change. If this person is thinking about you, their responsibility is to decide whether they possess enough courage to approach. You do not need to do it for them. You do not have to send the first message merely to rescue them from their restlessness. Someone who is truly ready will know how to find you with respect. They will not require you to interpret vague signs or remain in endless waiting. They will say what needs to be said, acknowledge the harm they caused, and refuse to continue using the past to control your emotions. If they still choose silence, allow that silence to become their temporary answer and continue living. Your future is not suspended upon another person's decision. My beloved child, do not fear the transformation occurring within you. You are becoming steady enough to meet the past without being consumed by it. You can listen to an apology without immediately forgetting yourself. Forgive while preserving boundaries, and close a door without carrying anger. This is the maturity I want you to receive. It is not the ability to see every mystery, but the ability to stand before what is unknown with a calm heart and a clear mind. If a real knock comes, you will open the door through wisdom rather than neediness. If no one appears, you will still continue because your life holds many good things beyond that story. Therefore, breathe deeply and trust what is being built within you. You do not need to chase signs, nor must you fight your emotions. Let everything reveal itself through time. What belongs to you will not require you to surrender your peace in order to receive it. What is sincere will arrive in the light, and what is no longer suitable will gradually lose its power when you stop feeding it through waiting. I am guiding you toward a place where the past is no longer a prison. Returning is no longer an uncertain promise, and love is no longer something for which you must exchange your dignity. Continue walking, because whether this person returns or not, you are still moving closer to a future in which you are loved with clarity, safety, and sincerity. At this moment, I want you to live honestly with your heart and stop chasing external pressure. Because the most sacred agreement is not found in a comment, but in your willingness to change the way you live. If there is a gentle voice within you, wanting to say that you are ready, allow those words to arise sincerely. You may say, "Amen," if that is what your heart desires, but do not believe that typing one word will automatically open every closed door. An affirmation has true weight only when it is followed by courage, honesty, and choices aligned with what you declared. When you say that you are ready, it means you no longer want to avoid what needs healing, continue protecting habits that exhaust you, or allow fear to choose your future. I, Michael, am reminding you that change is approaching, but you do not need to imagine it as a mysterious figure that should cause panic. A messenger of light may sometimes appear through a sincere person, a timely conversation, advice that helps you see more clearly, or an opportunity requiring courage to leave what is familiar. You may not yet know the form in which it will arrive, but you have already begun sensing movement within yourself. This is why recently you have felt both excitement and uneasiness, as though one part of you knows life cannot continue as before, while another part still clings to what is familiar in order to feel safe. This mixture is not shameful. It often appears when you are standing between the old version of yourself and the new person gradually taking shape. You are no longer the person you once were, even though you sometimes continue seeing yourself through old memories. What once caused you to remain silent now makes you want to speak. Relationships you endured because you feared loneliness no longer possess enough power to keep you. Superficial promises, empty conversations, and places requiring you to make yourself smaller have become increasingly heavy. I am not saying everyone who leaves is bad, nor is every distance evidence of betrayal. Some people belong only to a particular season, and when you change, the connection must also be adjusted. Some no longer understand you, because they are still looking for the version who always yielded, concealed emotion, and agreed with everything to preserve harmony. The tears you shed do not prove that you were being punished. They reveal that you are grieving what once felt familiar, even though something within you knows you cannot continue living that way. I am not angry because you were afraid, nor disappointed, because you needed more time to understand what was happening. The love of the Most High is not so fragile that it becomes wounded because you failed to recognize a message or did not immediately follow a reminder. What requires your attention is not the fear that you missed your final opportunity, but the practical signs that have repeated for too long. Do you continually feel exhausted within a certain place? Have you repeatedly noticed a boundary being crossed while remaining silent? Do you say that you want renewal, yet return to the old whenever change appears because it feels more familiar? My beloved child, sometimes you pray for a door to open while remaining afraid to leave your present room. You desire a new life, while continuing to carry the beliefs that built the old one. You long for freedom, but feel guilty whenever you establish a boundary. This inner conflict causes you to believe you are standing still, while in reality, you are being invited to make a clear choice. I do not ask you to change everything in one day. I only want you to stop saying that you do not know what to do, when something within you already understands the first step. Perhaps it is an honest conversation, a necessary refusal, a decision to care for yourself, or the courage to seek help for something you can no longer carry alone. During the coming days, an event may cause the rhythm of your life to change more quickly than expected. It may resemble a storm because it disrupts the stability you tried to construct. A plan may be overturned, a truth may be brought into the light, or a door you believed would remain open for a long time may suddenly close. But do not immediately call every disturbance an attack. Some disruptions arrive not to destroy, but to stop a process that is no longer healthy. Certain things must be shaken because their foundations are not strong enough to carry you into the next season. Sacred intervention does not always feel comfortable. Sometimes it resembles demolition before rebuilding begins. Nevertheless, do not spend the next 7 days in anxiety, continually counting time and interpreting every minor problem as a frightening sign. I do not use deadlines to create panic. If something changes, face it with awareness rather than imagination. Examine what happened, ask the questions that need to be asked, and seek appropriate support. If a door involving work closes, give yourself time to reconsider your skills, needs, and new direction. If a relationship changes, listen to both words and actions without begging someone who no longer wants to remain. If a plan fails, do not immediately treat it as proof that you have no value. One road ending does not mean every road has disappeared. A closing door may shake your entire life because you invested much hope, time, and effort in it. I understand the pain of releasing something you believed would become your future. But do not confuse the time you invested with an obligation to remain forever. Some rooms sheltered you during one season, but later became too small. Some relationships brought valuable lessons, but are no longer healthy enough to continue. Certain dreams suited the person you once were, but now need to change in order to reflect who you are becoming. Leaving them does not erase the value of the journey. It only confirms that the lesson has been completed. A new door may conceal something more powerful, but more powerful does not necessarily mean greater fame, more wealth, or admiration from others. It may be a more peaceful life in which you no longer awaken in fear. It could be work aligned with your values, a relationship that does not demand the loss of your dignity, or a community that permits you to live honestly. What is new may be very quiet. It may not arrive with dazzling light, but begin with the relief of realizing that you no longer have to fight to be respected. I want you to become discerning enough to recognize blessings in such ordinary forms. When change occurs, protect yourself from two extremes. Do not resist everything new merely because you are afraid, but do not rush through every door simply because you want to escape your present discomfort. Let peace, truth, and consistency guide you. What is suitable will not require you to deny warning signs. A sincere person will not pressure you to decide before you have time to think. A healthy opportunity may require effort, but it will not continually make you feel worthless. Your discernment is the protective boundary for this season. Therefore, the deepest amen you can offer today is to begin living like someone who truly believes they deserve what is healthy. Say amen by no longer returning to a place that repeatedly caused pain without any change. Say it by resting when you are exhausted, apologizing when you are wrong, and standing up when a boundary is violated. Say it through patience when the new door does not appear immediately. You have not been abandoned in the space between two seasons. I am there, preserving you while the old leaves and preparing you to recognize the new when it arrives. Do not fear the storm if it appears, but neither should you glorify chaos as though every pain were necessary. Protect yourself, take practical action, and seek safety when needed. What is sacred never requires you to remain passive before harm that can be prevented. I am guiding you toward maturity, where you know how to unite faith with wisdom, hope with action, and tenderness with boundaries. A closing door will not define the rest of your life. It is simply the final mark at the end of a passage that cannot continue being written in the same way. When you become courageous enough to release the handle, your hands will be free to receive what is waiting ahead.